Um, Thank you very much, members of the press, for coming. Apologies for delays in our start. We have just concluded a meeting of our Citizens National Assembly, which is the highest policy-making body of the CCC. By way of background and context, I want to say that the Zimbabwean parliament is now a circus. And the chief muppet in this circus is Sengezo Shabang, who is being cheered and aided by the so-called MDC 2019 structure led by Professor Wolfman Ngube and others. The puppet master is ZANU-PF. The events of the past week have shown every right-thinking person in Zimbabwe, the region, and the international community that Zimbabwe is not yet ready to be a democratic nation. From August 2023, it was clear that the regime had no intention of letting anyone participate in a free contest to determine who should govern this country. State institutions, in particular ZEC, did everything in their power to deny Zimbabweans their right to choose their leaders in a free and fair election. Against all odds, Zimbabweans stayed the course. They stayed in queues for up to 4 a.m. to exercise their right to choose their leaders. The outcome of the election, which was condemned by all the civilized world, including our region, was not a reflection of the will of the people of Zimbabwe. It was a charade, and its outcome illegitimate. It did not end there. From October 3, 2023, the Muppet, Sengezo Shabang, was born with our erstwhile colleagues in tour providing midwifery services. The parents of this Muppet were always known to be ZANU-PF. From October 3, the Muppet, aided by state institutions, went on a rampage to wreak havoc in Parliament and our councils with the intention of reversing the people's will. Willing pawns were found from our number to fill vacancies left by the true representatives of the people. The bigger chunk of the space, however, was reserved for the puppet master, who needed 2/3 majority so that they can mutilate our constitution to entrench their power over us. So far, they've achieved that. On Tuesday this week, the Speaker of Parliament then set in motion the final steps of the system's nefarious agenda. He maliciously delivered a judgment in Parliament, exuding the aura of a judge, robe and all, albeit without the wig. He delivered a judgment without hearing anyone, based on falsehood. He alleged that I had made appointments in Parliament irregularly when I did not do such a thing. What I had done in my capacity as the leader of our party was to notify him that we had given authority to our Parliament whip to fill vacancies by advising the Clerk of Parliament. This correspondence is available for the public to see, and I will make it public. He also made a bizarre finding that I could not represent my party because I had been recalled and I had lost my court challenge to that recall. No, Mr. Speaker, you are wrong. There are two aspects to a recall. The first part is the declaration of cessation of membership, which then leads to a recall. Whilst it is true that a recall should be challenged in court, in a court of law, the cessation of membership is an internal matter that can be resolved by the party itself. In that regard, the CCC, Citizens National Assembly, set aside all the bogus declaration of cessation of members for all its members who were unlawfully recalled by Sengezo Shabang. So whilst they remain recalled, because the recall can be challenged in court, they are bona fide members of the CCC, because it is only CCC which can determine its membership. Not the Speaker of Parliament, not a court of law, or another political party. The second falsehood was that I had been barred from standing as a candidate in the December 3 by-elections. No, Mr. Speaker, sir. You should know better that senators and PR MPs like me do not contest by-elections. How on earth would you make a finding that I was barred from contesting an election that I never were nominated to contest? I was a senator elected on the basis of proportional representation. Therefore, your reflections leading to your rescission of the appointments that we had made was based on a falsehood. In addition, we resubmitted our appointees to Parliament the following day after the Speaker had made his announcement. That resubmission was done, as in the previous case, under the hand and signature of our Chief Whip, supported by the signature or co-signed by our Head of Legal Services, Honorable Agents Gumbo. The Speaker of Parliament also received two other submissions of a list of appointees. One from the Muppet Sengezo Shabang, and another from another component of that grouping, which is claiming the name of CCC. The Speaker of Parliament is a lawyer, and he knows that the moment he received on the same day more than one submission for the same vacancies, he could not act on them. He could not choose which of the two to consider. He now needed to refer this matter to some form of a judicial tribunal. By making a decision to say, I will consider Shabangu's, not the one submitted by our Chief Whip, that decision in itself was unlawful. His unlawful decision led to the unlawful appointment of a new set of officials of Parliament. It is therefore a nullity. The malice behind the charade came out clearly on what he did on Thursday. On Thursday, not only did he reverse the appointments that he alleged I made, but he also reversed the appointments which had been made by our former president, Advocate Nelson Chamisa. The question that I ask Mr. Speaker, say, did you reverse those appointments on account of the fact that Advocate Nelson Chamisa had been recalled? And recalled from where and by who? His actions on Thursday reflect that the original decision to rescind the initial appointments had nothing to do with the reasoning that he gave, but it had everything to do with a premeditated agenda to hand over the control of the CCC in Parliament to their Muppet, Sengezo Shabang. I challenge the Speaker of Parliament that if what I'm saying is not correct, come out into the public and tell the people of Zimbabwe that in your capacity as Speaker of Parliament, a person who is supposed to manage the Parliament in a non-partisan manner, were you acting in the interest of Zimbabwe, or were you acting in the interest of ZANU-PF? I put it to the Speaker that the Speaker was acting for and on behalf of the Politburo of ZANU-PF and not the Parliament of Zimbabwe. I put it to the Speaker of Parliament that that agenda was meant to remove the opposition in Parliament and replace it with a synthetic opposition of his party's choice, which would dance to the whims and caprices of the ZANU-PF agenda, including the so-called 2030 agenda, which intends to extend the term of office of this government outside what is expected, i.e., without the authority of the people of Zimbabwe. The Speaker of Parliament failed in his constitutional obligations by accepting the list submitted by Sengezo Shabang. He has reduced our Parliament to a circus and a global laughingstock. What then is the way forward? Where do we go from here? The Citizens' National Assembly met and it has made a resolution. The resolution of this assembly is that it will not subject its deployees to the leadership and control of Sengezo Shabang in the Parliament of Zimbabwe. I have been tasked by the Citizens' National Assembly in light of this resolution that I convene our parliamentary caucus to communicate our party position and consult with our parliamentarians the practical implementation of this resolution. And that caucus will be happening in the next days and will advise you. The Assembly also further resolved that, taking into account that the summit of SADC will be held in the month of August, that SADC should pronounce itself on the question put to it with respect to the outcome of the August 2023 election, that we expect SADC to account to the people of Zimbabwe, who are the sovereign, and at the end of the day, the members of SADC, to say, we made a submission to yourself regarding our concerns on the election that took place in August 2023. The people of Zimbabwe demand that SADC provides them with an answer. I thank you. Are there any questions? Oh, I'm glad you're satisfied. Thank you.
Well done.
We have too many questions.
We've got too many.
In the event that Modenda does not pronounce himself on this position, what is the CCC, is CCC going to do about it? And are we likely going to see any outcome to the effect that the CCC is pulling out of Parliament should there be no action from Modenda?
We have given the Speaker time. As you are aware, Parliament is adjourned to the 11th of June. So we have given the Speaker time now to do proper reflections, but based on facts, not falsehoods. And then we wait to hear what he is going to do.
So we should expect the CCC action from the 11th of June.
You should expect a response from us from the 11th of June with respect to what the Speaker would have done. But as of now, the decision remains that we will not subject our deployees to the control of Sengezo Shabang.